Welcome to HomeFront Sitrep. I hope you're in for a great show today, because I'm just a veteran talking about what's on my mind and maybe you.
You can find HomeFront Sitrep on Apple, Amazon, Spotify, or wherever you find your favorite podcasts. You can also check out HomeFront Sitrep's YouTube channel.
Buckle up, the show is starting. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to a Sunday edition of HomeFront Sitrep. How is everybody doing? Gunny, sir, how are you?
I'm back.
Well,
man. It was a long 2 weeks, I'll tell you that. Great vacation down in Florida with my sister, brother-in-law, and my two nieces. Met up with Sean Welch, who we had on the show back in June, went over to his place, and was going to partake in some good barbecue, and then the wife called. She goes, "Hey, I need you." So had to take off from there. But also met up with William Stevens, who you had on the show back in February when I was buying the wife's new ride. So I met up with him, had a great conversation with him. And then obviously, following him with the cooking with Steve-O, everything he's doing in the RV. But and then the hospital stay when I got back from Florida. So just a recurring bout of cholangitis. So still on antibiotics for a few more days, and then back at it, I think Thursday night at Eldora for the sprint races, and then back up there again Saturday, I think, for the championship round. So no rest for the wicked.
Heck yeah, man. No, I'm glad you're back. I'm glad you're out of the hospital. I know April and we were all kind of worried about you there for a minute. Didn't know how long your stay was going to be, and thankfully it wasn't too awful long, and you were able to get back into the groove of things, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, we caught it early, so usually for me it's a 4 to 6 day stay. as soon as I got out of the car on Sunday when we got back, Micah looked at me. He's like, "Dad, you got to go to the hospital." And I got in there. They got me on fluids. They got me on IV antibiotics. So got admitted, I think 4:00 Monday morning. And I was out of there, I think 2:30, 3:00. I was home before Micah got home on Wednesday. So he gets off work at 3. So, 48, 50 something hours, 60 hours. So.
Yeah. Well, at least, the kids know the signs and said, "Hey, Dad, let's get you to the hospital," because they already know. I mean, that's a good thing. They were looking out for you. Because I know when I talked to you, you were on your way back. You were outside of Richmond, and you never mentioned having any kind of issues or anything like that. And then, I saw April's post. Or actually, Julie saw it before I did, and I was like, "No, what the? I just talked to him."
Yeah, man, that came on. We left Buc-ee's, and before I got through Lexington, I started having chills, and I had to, for me, which is very weird, I had to shut the AC off, and April just did one of these. She's like, you good over there? I'm like, yeah, a little cold. And then she just looked at me again. I was like, so, but yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, it's one of those things, man. It's just, it creeps on, kind of quick like that. It used to come on just slow, but now it's just, as soon as it starts going, it's rapid fire. And, we talk about it all the time, and the rigors of war and the rigors of battle and all this stuff. And, I got injured in 05, over 20 years ago. This started rearing its ugly head in 07, and I'm still dealing with it. Right. So 18 years later, and, there's really nothing that can be done short of a liver transplant. So making sure it's all,
Yeah, man, hopefully they'll get you squared away one of these days. That way you don't have to worry about, these issues, coming back up for the rest of your life. It's one of those things, you want to get back to a sense of normalcy, but you can never be normal right now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, it kicks me, it puts me on my ass every single time, right? Every surgery, every procedure, every hospital stay, it's going right back to zero. Yeah. And, the mental fatigue, the body fatigue, your physical fatigue, just all that stuff comes into play. And you're in the hospital and you can't do anything. Right. So I'm sitting there in bed for 3 days hooked up to IVs, and it's like, oh, this is so freaking boring. And then the mind starts to wander a little bit, and it takes you back to, what could I have done differently to get me to where I'm at? And had I done anything differently, I wouldn't be here. My guys wouldn't be here. So, everything at the end of the day was the right call to make. And, everybody's back stateside because of it. So it is what it is, man. It's just something I'll have to deal with for a while, and until they do a liver transplant, and then we'll see how it goes from there.
Heck yeah. I want to give a big shout out to Mr. Martin Ty Cobb with the Triple Threat Vets podcast. I want to give him a big shout out. I think we might be good in the background with our guests now. We'll see here shortly, but no, we got two guests tonight. They're partners. So we got 06 Reveille with Franco, and then we got Renee Wagner with Salute to American Heroes. So you can go check out the website, www.salutetoamericanheroes. Let me make sure I say it right. I don't want to screw it up. salutetoamericanheroes.com, and then you got 06reveille.com. So go check out those websites. Ty, he's all about some air assault, bro. I love Ty. He's my boy, though. Let me tell you.
Those Fort Campbell guys, man.
I know, right? Those Fort Campbell guys. I think he came in he was supposed to go down to CIA Bob's house for the 4th of July. I don't know if he made it in or not, but he was supposed to. If he was that close, he should have called me. I would have tried to.
I'm glad we get Franco back on. I listened a little bit on the road, and of course on the road it's spotty anywhere, right? Especially coming up out of Tennessee through the hills, Southern Kentucky, Cumberland area. But yeah, I know there was some technical difficulties somewhere last week, but I'm glad we got to get him back on to really share, his story and talk about 06 Reveille. And then, of course, to have
Yeah.
Renee join him this week as well.
Yeah, definitely. Because like the story of 06 Reveille, I mean, it's military mindset apparel. They're doing great things with, with the mission of 06 Reveille. And when we were having technical difficulties, I didn't feel like we gave it its justice, the
Yeah.
justice that it's due. So I told Franco right afterwards, I said, hey, let's just reschedule you. We're open on the 13th. Let's just get you rescheduled in. And I'm glad he was able to say, all right, let's do that. And then plus we got to bring Renee on as well, which they know Adam Bird really well. So, which is super cool, which is one of our partners with Heroes Media Group. So definitely.
Yeah, I mean, having them on is better than us running our suck for an hour,
Right. So definitely. So without further ado, let's bring Franco and Renee up to the stage. Welcome.
How you doing?
Hi guys.
Good.
Thanks
Yourself,
for
Franco?
Not too bad. Can you guys hear me all right?
Yeah,
we can hear you loud and clear, Franco.
Perfect.
So if you can do me a favor, let's start out with Franco. Introduce yourself, Franco, if you don't mind.
How you doing? My name is Franco Sapia. I'm an Italian immigrant. Came to the United States when I was a little baby and raised in Massachusetts. Then went into the military at the age of 18. When I get out, I enjoyed the structure. Let me backtrack. Growing up in Lawrence, Massachusetts, I got into things that I should not get into. I was getting myself in trouble. And it wasn't the direction I wanted to go to. I realized once I moved to New Hampshire from Massachusetts that it was getting worse. So I decided to enlist into the Marine Corps just to get away from the trouble, because I said to myself, it's either that or I'm going to end up in prison. So I enlisted in the Marine Corps. I went to boot camp. I enjoyed the structure that they showed me, that they shared upon me. And when I got out, I was looking for that. It's what I wanted. It was either that or go back to my old ways. And I knew what the old ways would have brought me. So I decided to get into law enforcement. I did 4.5 years as a correctional officer. And I knew that was not the direction I wanted. I wanted something more. And that's when I got hired and became a federal agent for Boston, Massachusetts. I was an ICE agent for 24 years. During that time, I'm just motivated. During that time, I just, I wanted more in life. I enjoyed the structure in it, and that's when I came up with the 06 Reveille brand. I'm up every morning at 5, and I'm ready to work at 6. It was something that was kind of bred in me when I was in the Marine Corps, and it's come to the point where I don't even need an alarm clock anymore. I just wake right up without an alarm clock. And I just want to bring that out to other people out there that, if you have a dream or if you have something that you want in life, you have to get up early and you have to go after your dream. It's not just given to you. Something that you have to go after. I know that from, as a kid growing up in Lawrence, I wanted certain things, but in order for me to get those things, I had to steal or I had to do things that I didn't want to do. And I knew that wasn't the direction I wanted to go. And that's the reason why I went into law enforcement. And that's the reason why the structure, the discipline that the Marine Corps gave me made me the person I am today.
No, I love it. Miss Renee, you want to introduce yourself real quick?
Yes, of course. I'm Renee Wagner. I'm a serial entrepreneur, I think, at heart. I think kind of led me to where I'm at today. I grew up in Southern Massachusetts, similar story to Franco. We have a lot of similarities that we've aligned in so many things, but I grew up with a single mom. I'm the youngest of 6. Grew up in a very unstructured environment, pretty traumatic. And so as life went on and I became an adult, I realized that there was more for me in life, just like Franco, that where I came from wasn't who I was. And I wanted more for myself. So I moved down to South Florida. I traveled the world I was a marketing director for Herbalife, and did all that in my 20s. And but I really put aside things that I wanted to do more so with my story. And I didn't want my story to go in vain. I didn't want it to be forgotten about. I wanted to write a book, but that was kind of overwhelming. So I ended into pageants just to kind of utilize the mental health PTSD platform, and realized that a lot of our veterans suffer from that. So it was one of my platforms that I did present on in the pageants, but I didn't like being superficial. I told myself, if I want a crown, like, what does that tell other people, that I'm wearing a crown and I'm better than you in some aspects? So for me, it didn't fit my personality. And I wanted to create something where I wasn't anybody, but no, I'm like, who's going to want to hear my story? And so, fast forward to being a mom, I think when I became a mom is where I knew that I didn't want my story to go left behind. I wanted my kids to know where I came from and what I lived through, because their life was night and day from where I came from. And so that's when I created the Mag Lifestyle, and I utilize it as a platform just to share stories, because I think there's power in sharing a story. I think it heals yourself, it heals other people, and it creates that door for everyone to kind of open up and have a safe place to share your story. And I think that's kind of what led me to where I'm at now, is utilizing stories to help other people, and then now supporting a lot of veteran nonprofits that do specialize and bring awareness and support for PTSD and mental health. So that kind of led me to Salute to American Heroes, which I work with multi nonprofits that work with PTSD and veterans. And we put this event together that fundraises and brings a lot of great influential people together. And we have country artists, we have celebrities, we have national news press. So it's taken off pretty quickly. And when I met Franco and we kind of talked about 06 Reveille, it fit really well because I know his story. I know the mission behind 06 Reveille, and I introduced it to everyone in Salute to American Heroes Network. And one of the nonprofits wants to actually create a scholarship fund to help fund families to go to a camp that really specializes in healing our Gold Star families, our first responders, and veterans. So I know I could go on more. I try to make it short and sweet, but that's me in a little bit of a nutshell.
No, thank you for sharing, and thank you both for coming. Well, Franco, thank you for coming back, and Renee, thank you for coming on. So Franco, we'll go back to you with 06 Reveille, right? So in the Marine Corps, you get up bright early, 05, 05:30, 06, depending on what's the plan of action for the day, right? The POA.
Correct. Correct.
So you started 06 Reveille, and what made you decide to go with an apparel company as composed to like a nonprofit or something of that nature?
To be honest with you, because I don't know too much about nonprofit, so I did it more as a hobby, just to try to get people to see the mission. And then, like I said to you last week, what had happened was COVID hit. So I started in 2018. I tried to get the mission out there to a lot of people, like friends and family, friends. And what had happened was COVID hit, and I kind of had to shut down the doors because we weren't able to do anything. And then I kind of toyed around with it in my head. I'm like, really, what am I doing? Am I fooling myself? It's a T-shirt, it's a brand. But when I really sat down and to really think about it, I said to myself, it's more than a brand for me. It's what I feel. It's what I do to get myself up every morning to go after my dream. You know what I'm saying? It's just like many other influencers out there. And I'm not proclaiming to be an influencer. I'm just saying, like, in order to go after something you want, you have to get up early, and you have to go after it. And I said to myself, I'm just going to go back and do it. And then once COVID stopped and we're out being able to do things again, I revamped the logo or the design, and it started to pick up traction. And people were starting to buy it. They started to understand the mission. They liked the mission. People that were more like-minded, like myself, started to understand it. And that's, then when I brought it to Renee's attention, we kind of clicked. and we've been trying to run with it. And like she said, she introduced me to her contacts of people that have this nonprofit organization, and that's where we're in right now. We're in the midst of trying to work together and try to make it happen, where we can bring the mission and the brand out and utilize whatever funding or whatever profits we make to donate back to a foundation, so we can do something with the foundation.
Yeah,
Heck yeah.
can I talk on that as well? So
Yeah.
Franco designed a really meaningful design. It's for Gold Star families, and it really went over well with one of the nonprofits that we're partnering with. And they came up with a brilliant idea, is utilizing storytelling and not only designing these shirts that kind of honor these fallen heroes, but also sharing their story. So now the families, we get to house their stories within Zero Six Reveille's website. We're going to create, different avenues to share their story within podcasts and possible a publication through the nonprofit that I'm developing. So there's a lot of depth to Zero Six Reveille, just not an apparel line. We're going to utilize the brand for what it is, but also bring in that aspect of the storytelling and helping our veterans and Gold Star families and first responders heal and become part of something. I think, like Frank was saying, when you're part of something, you have purpose. It's like giving purpose where people don't feel they have it anymore. And I think that's what gets you up every day, is knowing you're part of something. You're not alone in what you share in your own life. And there's people out there that can utilize what you're doing, and you can help each other. And I think that's the motto of what I do. And I know that's what the motto is of Zero Six Reveille. So
Yeah, I love that it started out, what it started out as, and now it's transitioning into a bigger mission. That's kind of like with like HomeFront Sitrep. It started out as a podcast for me to help with my PTSD, my anxiety, my hypervigilance, because after I got done doing the nonprofit thing for 20 years, I was lost. I was like, what am I going to do now? And then started the podcast, and it has evolved. I mean, it's a constant, it constantly evolves into something that's much bigger than myself, or much bigger than I ever thought it could be. With all the different veteran podcasters that I've, became brothers with, like Brian Roof and Skipper from Vet Nation, and Ty Cobb from Triple Threat, all those guys that are in chat right now, and Stephen LaMonica with the Misfit Nation. We started out as a podcast to highlight veteran nonprofits from around the country, the mom and pops, the grassroots. And it has evolved from that to now, it's an LLC that has a mission of focusing on one veteran a day. If we can reach one veteran today, then we've completed our mission, because that one veteran is going to reach out to his brothers and sisters, and it's just a trickle effect. And that's kind of what Zero Six Reveille is doing. It's a trickle effect. And now that you guys are evolving into the nonprofit world, that's freaking amazing.
Well, and it's also showing, that you don't have to be a product of your surroundings or your upbringing either, right? So, Franco talked about being up there in Lawrence, Mass. And for those of you that don't know where it is, it's northwest of Boston on I think it's the 495 loop or something. I drive through there when I go home to see my parents all the time. Yeah. But there's not much there. You got Worcester that's down the street. You got, Portsmouth up the street, and then you got Boston that's right there too. But other than that, there's a lot of things you can do to get in trouble. But, I came from a small town in Maine, and there's nothing to do but get in trouble. So, single mom as well, kind of like Renee. My dad passed away when I was very young. And then I'm the oldest of four, but, joining the Marine Corps was my way to get away from, Howland, Maine, and the little that I had to offer job wise. So it's just one of those things that, having a voice for people that are like us, to know that, like Renee said, you're not alone. And we say that all the time on the show here, you're not alone, So yeah, but yeah, and Franco, you know, putting his brand out there to let people know, hey, listen, there's other people out here like you that have a story to tell, and we're here to help you tell it. Especially those Gold Star families that lost so much.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've had the privilege, I guess, over the past 11 plus years doing what I do to meet, I don't know, hundreds, thousands of Gold Star families. You know, not just the mom and the dad, but the spouse, the kids, the grandparents, the nieces, the nephews, because it's not just the mom that is struggling. It's not just the dad. It's not just the sister and the brother. You know, everybody that knew that person is struggling, especially the family members. So, yeah, you guys doing that and you know, honoring the Gold Star families is, you know, probably the best recognition that could ever be done, because it lets them know that their loved one's not forgotten.
Yeah, it's the greatest sacrifice. You know, I think losing a child or a family member, I think, and you're right. And I believe kind of what you were saying, David, with the power. I think the power of connection is in collaboration, is when you bring so many great people together, all for the same, going in the same direction, all for the same cause. You become that powerhouse in a sense within yourselves. And that's kind of what I created with Salute to American Heroes, and now Zero Six Reveille is part of that mission. Just, you know, I love connecting people for the greater good, because I know things are sent my way for me to do something with it. And, you know, I met a Gold Star family by chance. I was on a vacation, and, you know, the things that I was able to do for them, not in my life would I ever think that I was going to be given the opportunity to give back in that way. And I was able to. So to be able to do this is, for me, is one of those gifts, and filling that void and that purpose for me, because, you know, I grew up in a really not great life, and, you know, very traumatic, like I said, and I suffer from PTSD, and I'm a civilian. So what we're doing is for everybody. You know, Zero Six Reveille is not just for veterans, it's for anyone who wants that community and that greater purpose in life, and you know, having that determination and persevere through anything. You know, I think that's kind of what we're doing.
Yeah. Franco, you want to piggyback off of that at all?
No, she hit it right on the money. You know what she's saying. You know, I just, to me, it's something new. I'm actually enjoying the journey. I'm looking forward to meeting a lot of new people, and you know, veterans, non-veterans, just people in general, and trying to get this out, just get my mission out there. Like she says, I my out of all I've done so far, one of my biggest accomplishments with Zero Six Reveille was that Gold Star family. Creating a T-shirt for that family, and to have her son's picture placed on the back of that T-shirt. It was nice to just create it and then send it out to them. And like, for me, it was like one of my biggest achievements with this brand. You know, and that's what I want to do. I want to bring it all out there, and you know, I have plenty of friends that served in the military, Army, Navy, you name it, and they've all lost someone. I've lost two of my buddies during Desert Storm. I know that feeling. I know the feeling of losing someone as a brother. You know, I can't imagine losing a son in a conflict. You know, but I
Right.
know how hard it was for me to accept knowing that I lost two brothers in a conflict.
That's the Gold Star families, man. That's Gunny said a privilege, and I don't know if privilege is the right word for that. Um, I've had the honor, you know, to meet several Gold Star widows, Gold Star family members along the way of this journey as well. And it's one of those things that in the in the nonprofit world, a lot of the times the Gold Star families feel like they're outcast. And there's because there wasn't a whole lot of nonprofits out there that was focused on the Gold Star families. And I think Gunny said it right when it's not just the mom and the dad, it's not just the spouse and the children, it's everybody that has been intertwined with that veteran that paid the ultimate sacrifice. They all struggle, and you know, like my family, you know, we're very tight knit. Now, granted, I grew up in a small town called Barstown, single mom, 4 kids, had a rough life growing up, but my family, you know, my extended family, my grandparents, my aunts, my uncles, my cousins. I mean, I'm talking all the way down to like fifth and sixth cousins. We were all really, really close. And if something had happened to me when I went overseas, they all would be struggling. So yeah, we have to focus. We have to when we focus on the Gold Star family. It's not just the mom and dad, the wife, the children. It's the whole family. And that's something cool that you guys are doing when you're now you have a a T-shirt with a Gold Star veteran on it, so his family can wear that shirt and remember that way other people can remember and say his name, because I think we've said this how many times on this show, Gunny. As long as we say their name, never we'll never forget them.
That's so
Um,
true. That's so true. Can I touch on that story? Can I touch on
yes,
that
ma'am.
Gold Star family story? I want to share something. I did talk about it briefly, but I do want to talk about it a little bit more because it's one of the focal points in my event this year. That family I met random standing in line at Universal Studios. I met her. She told me the story. She had a T-shirt on that day, ironically, and she had the picture of her son. And we asked her about who that was, and she said, "That's my son." And here I am standing with my son, and there's no words for that. And all I could say was, "I'm sorry," and that's not enough. And so she's like, not many people say I'm sorry because not many people even know what a Gold Star family is in our country. So she went on to, in her disappointment, and I'm not saying this in any other way, but she went on with her disappointment, like you're saying, that there isn't enough support out there in any aspect for our Gold Star families, which they should have. I didn't know at that time when I met her that I was going to go ahead and create this event. Then I met someone 3 months later through Paul Sr. from OCC, and it was Jay from Operation Healing Heroes. If no one knows about him, you should check him out. He has a nonprofit, and it's on Discovery Channel. And when I told him the story about this Gold Star family, because she's trying to get a national day passed for Gold Star families to honor our Gold Star families. And when I told her who I was, I'm like, I don't know what I can do for you at this time, but I'll do what I can. Not knowing I was going to be doing what I said. Anyway, long story short, he told me, Renee, I have a spot on my 25 season for a Gold Star family. I introduced them. She got to tell her story of her son. But another great foundation picked it up, Operation Song in Nashville. They went on to bring on songwriters and country artists to record her son's story and put it into a song lyric. And it's called Letters from Heaven, which is going to be performed for the first time live at my event with Jesse G, which will be filmed by Discovery. And now this family gets to have their son's story told in so many aspects. 06 Reveille created the shirt for this family, and they'll be wearing that on stage at the event. So it's kind of twofold, but I wanted to share that piece.
No, there is a day for Gold Star families. So they incorporated it into Gold Star Mother's Day, which is the last Sunday of September.
Oh,
so
really?
a few years ago, it used to be Gold Star Mother's Day, and now it's Gold Star Mothers and Families Day. So that's been like that for probably 10, 15 years now. But the last Sunday of September is dedicated to the Gold Star families.
Wow.
Well,
But
that's good to know. I don't even know if she's aware of that because she's been striving so hard as a mom, and she does a lot of great work for Gold Star families. And so she was trying to get this passed. I know she was on a bunch of different news wires, and I'm planning on having her go on Newsmax with Rita Cosby, hopefully sooner than later before the event, to kind of share all of this.
Yeah, and then there's I think the Gold Star Child Day, I think, is in May. Gold Star Spouses Day, I think, is in May or June as well. But yeah, Gold Star Families Day is the last Sunday of September. So it's one of those floating, right? There's no specific day,
right?
But it's kind of like Easter and Thanksgiving and stuff like that. But yeah, there is one there.
Good. At least we got that.
Yeah,
so that's good to know.
Yes, so this year it's September the 28th. Gold Star Mother's Day is what it says.
Yeah, and don't take my words wrong. I said privilege because it is a privilege for those families to open up and talk to you about their loved one. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
They don't have to, especially if you didn't serve with that person.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, I mean that's we had the Van of Valor on the show, which Kevin and Lauren, they're amazing, and they sold their house, they sold everything they own, bought a van. They're traveling the country, and they're talking to Purple Heart recipients and Gold Star families, and they're telling their story, which is simply amazing to see what they're doing and follow their journey. So I follow them on Facebook and just here watching their videos that they put out of Purple Heart recipients and Gold Star families. It man, it's amazing.
Yeah,
Amazing.
so they video the entire thing, and much like the veteran whose story is being, they're asking people to share with, to be documented through the Library of Congress. They're doing the same thing with the Gold Star families. They want those stories to be stored through the Library of Congress as well, because the stories of the loved ones, they're not here to tell it. So the families are coming forward and talking about who the person was, why they joined the service, and then what happened to them, and then what it's been like after their passing. So those stories that Kevin and Lauren are doing, they're going to be documented for generations to come.
And I think that's the moral in it, having your story documented, whatever story it may be, my story, Franco's story, the Gold Star family stories. I think storytelling is so not, a lot of people now are actually becoming more comfortable with telling your story because we all have a story. And I think it's when you share it is when you create that community, when you create that space for other people to share it and now have a place for it like that, for our Gold Star families, for our heroes like Franco and like you guys. Like I think, having that place to have a purpose, share your story, what you sacrifice for our country. I think those are where you find healing.
Yeah, the easiest thing that you should be able to do is the hardest thing to do.
Right.
Because you don't want to sound like you're a pompous windbag, that it's all about you. But when you are talking about you, it is all about you, right? At that point in time. Yeah, and it's you don't have to go super deep into every situation that you did from the time you were born until current day, but you highlight those things of February 19th I got blown up, March 20th I got blown up, I've had 43 46 surgeries, whatever it is, right? But you don't have to go deep into each and every single one. And I think sharing those stories and having others be able to listen to you or whoever is talking, it might resonate with them and be like, well, if that person can talk about that, I can talk about this, right? And you don't have to share everything.
No,
right?
You're right. It's
you just
opening that door.
Yeah, share what you're comfortable sharing.
Right. It's having that commonality and that relatability where people aren't uncomfortable. You don't want to be judged. So I'm guilty of that, right? You don't want people to know certain things, but I think I've met so many people that I let go of that. I healed, and I'm okay now sharing parts of my story that I wasn't okay with before.
Yeah.
And it took those doors and meeting those people to give me that space to say it's okay. And now that's who I am. I don't hide behind my story, and I'm okay with sharing it. And I think that's the place people have to get to. And you do that with other people.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, crack the door. And then every time you talk, crack it a little bit more, crack it a little bit more, crack it a little bit more. And there's going to be a point that you're going to be able to walk through that door. And I'm not going to say you're going to be healed, but you will be better on the other side of that door.
Yep. I agree. 100%. I don't think you're ever fully healed. You just find a better way.
Yeah.
What's up, Franco?
I agree, because this is where it was when I first got back from Desert Storm. It took me a little while. I kind of sheltered myself from a lot of the, people ask me, so how was it? What were you doing? And I kind of like shied away from it. Like I kind of secluded myself. Renee knows, I tell her a lot. And it's taken me many years to kind of slowly get out of that. Now, like you guys say, I'm at a point now where it doesn't bother me. I don't have a problem speaking out and letting people know exactly what I've been through and what I've experienced, But when I first get out, for like 4 years of my life, I didn't go to like cookouts. I didn't go to Fourth of July's. I just all that sound and people, and even like when we go to events now, and Renee knows, I can't be around loud noise. To me, it's just I need to get out of there. I go into a whole different mindset.
Yeah.
I kind of
Yeah.
I kind of regress, and she thinks like the world's come crashing down, but in reality, I'm like, I need to get out of here. This is not where I need to be right now because it's just not. I'm not having fun here.
Yeah.
I don't know
It's like
where
little bits and pieces, little times I get like, just like you hear, like when you're with your military friends, you hear like, oh, the smell of diesel brings me back, or the smell of this brings me back. The same thing, like when I'm around loud noises or loud atmosphere, it just brings me back to a place that I don't want to be, and I just kind of regress. But
Yeah.
it takes me a little while to get out of it, but I need to get out of it, because it's just not good for me.
Yeah, I'm like that with. So for me, it took me a really long time to tell my story. Like literally, my wife will tell you we've been married, be 20 years this November. We've been together for 23, and I can guarantee you, the first 20 years of my marriage, my wife didn't know half the stuff that I did in the military, and she didn't really start understanding what I did until I started the podcast and I started talking about my story. But I don't like loud places. Not like fireworks. uh, I have to be the one lighting them off. I can't be somewhere and then all of a sudden just get surprised with fireworks. If I'm
Right.
in control of the fireworks, no problem. But if I'm somewhere and they just start going off, then I'm hiding somewhere. I don't like going to concerts. I don't like going into large crowds. That's just who I am, and I'm I'm dealing with it to a certain extent. Like I try to go and try to have a good time, but we'll go to the concert and I'm just sitting there like a knot on a log because I'm not enjoying myself. And my
I'm the
wife
same
gets
way.
upset. My wife gets upset. She goes, "Come, have fun." And I'm like, "I can't. I try. I can't." But at least I'm still there. I'm still present for her or my kids. So
I feel it. I agree. I know exactly what you're going through because like I says, I'm the same way. And people look at me like, what's the matter? You in a bad mood? No, I'm not in a bad mood. This is just not where I need to be right now. It's like it happens instantly. The minute I walk in and that noise starts to rattle in my brain, I I need to leave. I don't want to. The thing is, I hate to ruin it for other people while I'm out with them. So I kind of have to bear it and I have to grind and say to myself, it'll pass. But during that passing, it's just not a place where I want to stay.
yeah.
Because it's not doing me any good. Because it's going to take me that much longer to get over it once I leave there. So I might as well just go home at that point.
I think with what you guys are experiencing is those are triggers, right? So certain things trigger certain memories and emotions that we're all carrying. I have triggers from my past that trigger my emotions, and they're different things. No one knows what those triggers are. You guys know. And now that me and Franco go to these events, we're around each other, I'm learning his triggers. And I learned his story, and I think the alignment, like I said, with Zero Six Reveille is why we've connected so much. And now I'm learning about his story and who he is. And I think in that, I think the triggers is what really kind of keeps that trauma still there. And like you said, it just takes a while to kind of let people know around you and everyone to understand who you are, and without having to share so much. So I think, I relate to you, David, as well, not sharing my story right away and just pieces of it as time goes on, because it's hard. It's hard to have someone accept that. It's hard to be vulnerable and share those pieces with someone. And I think we all struggle with that.
I'll tell you, David and I served together. We met at recruit training.
Oh, wow.
And then we served at School of Infantry together, served in 2nd Battalion 8th Marines together, served in Gulf Company together. So our first 3 years of being Marines were aligned, and then we went our separate ways. So even early on, he wouldn't talk too much, and then I'm not going to say it was me, but having those shared instances that we both went through 3rd Battalion, 8th Marines. Like as soon as we got to the fleet, there was a fatality on a range, and we were both there. So having those shared experiences has kind of helped him a little bit, and it's helped me as well. And after I got injured, I was forced to move from the infantry to another job, and I went over and worked in aviation for the Marine Corps. And there was one day I was leaving Camp Lejeune, going to Richmond, Virginia for a race. And the guy that was with me, I looked at him, a Marine. He'd been in a year less than me, but he'd been in the aviation the entire time. And I told him some of the stuff that I was going through and experiencing. And he looked at me like I had 15 eyeballs because he never experienced that. And he's like, I don't know what to say. I was like, I don't need you to say anything. I just need to get this out to somebody and, not put all that trauma on my wife.
Yeah.
So, I mean, sometimes you just need to let it out.
You do. And you're right. And I think telling the story for yourself, or even letting people know you relate or you understand and I know it's hard. I went through it myself, but I totally agree. I understand that very much.
I agree with what you're saying. And I feel comfortable more when I'm around my group of military brothers, that I can open up more.
Yeah.
Because I know they've been, they served with me in the Gulf. So, I have a group chat that goes back and forth. And like when I'm out at an event, that thing will go off all night because they're all working law enforcement, and that thing will just ring all night. But I'll answer that because they're my brothers. You know what I'm saying? And we've made a pact since day one that we all get out, that if this text message, whatever this text message is, whether it's stupid or not, you need to respond to it, because we don't know what goes on in our own, in everybody's heads. He could wake up one day and he just might not feel, the need to be around anymore. So we made that pact that no matter what, we respond to that text message and let them know that we're there for them. You know what I'm saying? So but I understand. So like when I reach out, or if I'm feeling kind of down and I'm feeling kind of like I need to talk to somebody, I get it. I could talk to anybody, but are they going to understand it the way my brothers or sisters that I served with would understand it, because they've been there?
Yeah.
And I know they'll probably sit there. Anybody else that hasn't been there, they'll probably sit there and just yap at me because they don't know. But I feel more comfortable talking to somebody that's actually served with me and knows that they were in the same situation that I was, and we can relate and kind of like talk ourselves off the ledge.
Yeah. And Frank, sorry to cut you off.
And we've been doing that since we get out in 91, 92. That's how many years, and we're a tight 20 brothers. That's all we do. We talk, and that's all we do.
And that's what Franco just said is why I created Salute to American Heroes, because there's so many people that are there. A lot of veterans come. We want them to know their support. We have 3 keynotes that speak who share their stories to a Purple Heart. And one is Brian Stern from Grable Rescue. And he has done so many rescues. He's not Medal of Honor. He just got another award. I'm not sure what it is, but these are all stories that they suffer PTSD. They struggle with what they have. And now, we open the stage for them to be these keynotes, to speak to our veterans, to our first responders, to know that there are people for you. We're all you're all in this together, and there's a community for you. You're not alone. More than anything.
Yeah. So for me, like, I can meet a veteran, right, wherever I'm at, and automatically, like, we have a bond just because they're a veteran. Now, of course, if it's a Marine, it's going to be a stronger bond. But my thing is, if they've been in similar situations, maybe not the same situations that Sam and I have been in, but similar situations, then I'm okay with talking with them and telling them my experiences. Uh, but I don't think there's a veteran out there that I wouldn't open up and share my experience with, because like my nephew who's currently serving right now overseas, he's over in Kuwait right now. um I told him, a lot of my stuff, and I try to give him advice of things to look out for while he's there, things to do to help cope with some of the things that goes on when you're on deployment. For one, he's got two small children back home that he's missing terribly. I never had children when I was in the service, so I couldn't really explain to him how I dealt with that. But I told him, I was like, "Look, any chance you get to call back home to talk to your kids, call back home, talk to your kids. Let them know that you're okay. Let your mom know that you're okay." And so he's been doing a very good job of keeping us informed. But I know they went on radio silence for a little while, and I haven't really heard from him. But you just gotta, as long as the veteran has a similar situation or been in, because we all do our service differently. Here's the thing, Franco, you were in early Desert Storm. Gunny and we served from 97 to, I served to 04. Gunny served until 2011, right? Roughly. We all did our service differently. Miss Renee, she's never been in the military, but she has PTSD from trauma that she's dealt with in her life. PTSD is PTSD, regardless of what it's from. It's from trauma. So we all have something that's very relatable when it comes to that. And we just have to know how to navigate the waters when it comes to talking with, whether they're civilian or other veterans. You have to know how to navigate those waters. And that's kind of, what you're doing with 06 Reveille. Here you're got this mission, and then Renee with Salute to American Heroes. You guys are rocking it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I think you're spot on with the PTSD, and I think that's something that me and Franco are working on, really letting everyone know it's not that it's not just for veterans, because that's what we've geared it towards, but it's for anyone that wants to have that mission of what 06 Reveille is and make that part of their life.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, trauma hits everybody differently. Right. And
yeah.
I can't, I say it all the time, and I say it till I'm blue in the face, but the four of us that are on here right now could have the same exact physical injury, and that orthopedic surgeon could put us back together the same exact way. Now, the hardware might be bigger or smaller or whatever, but they're still doing it the same exact way. But when it comes to matters of the mind,
Yep.
the squash is completely different, and everybody has to be treated differently. Not like a 2-year-old, but the treatment for everybody needs to be different, because everybody processes things differently.
Yeah.
And I think that's where our mental health is failing, because I don't want to be stuck in a room with 15 other dudes and jotting notes and writing my story down. That doesn't work for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I want to be on the water with the line in, with the fish on the end. I don't care if it's a minnow or if it's a couple 100-pound shark. I want to be fishing. That is my reset. That's my solace. That's time for me to be at one with my thoughts and re-energize myself. Maybe that's what I need to do instead of going to Florida for a week and end up in the hospital. But and David is being in the woods in nature and watching it come alive. Everybody's therapy is different, and for me it was following my passion, and my passion's fishing and helping other veterans and Gold Star families. But that's been my mission since I got out. So
That's
for the
correct.
past 14 years I've been doing this, and to watch the families come in to our event and shy and timid and not wanting to open up. And then, we pair them up with other Gold Star families that have been through our event. And by day 2, day 3, they're a completely different person. And they're talking about their loved one, and they're sharing their loved one. And there's no greater feeling in the world than to watch somebody come out of their shell.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah. You're right. Everyone heals in their own way, in their own time. No one heals the same. And I mean, that's correct. Like how you stated that. I think that's what people seem to forget sometimes. We don't always heal from the same type of trauma in the same way, in the same time. We all have our own ways of therapy and healing.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Whew. So, Renee, when is the date of your event? Just so we can throw that out there.
So it's August 17th. It's a Sunday. It starts at 5 p.m. It's in Clearwater, Florida. It's at OCC Roadhouse Museum. It's the museum for Paul Tuttle Sr., who used to have the TV show Orange County Choppers. So the whole venue, it's beautiful. It's turnkey for like concerts, and it's like 20,000 square foot inside, outside, very casual, very festive. We're having country artists come, and a lot of vendors, nonprofit support, some great influential people who are supporting us. And tickets are on sale. We have sponsorships still available, vendor tables. Anyone who wants to join in and support the cause for these 4 foundations who are doing amazing things for our veterans and Gold Star families and first responders. So everything is on the website at salutetoamericanheroes.com.
Heck yeah. Franco, so is there anything that you want to talk about before we drop you down and wrap up the show?
No, I just
That
want
we
to
might have
thank you
missed?
guys. I just want to thank you guys for having me on and listening to the short story that I had. I appreciate everything that you guys do for all the brothers and sisters out there, and I wish you, continued luck, and well-being with everything that you guys do.
I appreciate that very much, and thank you guys both for coming on here and hanging out with us. And I'm going to continue following your journeys, both of you guys, with 06 Reveille, and then Salute to American Heroes. I'm definitely going to follow you guys. I'll be in Florida. Hopefully, in a couple of years, we'll be moving to Florida. So Renee, me and you might have to link up once I get to Florida. I think Gunny's going to be coming shortly after, a few years later. He'll be
It might be
Florida
before if the wife has anything to do with it.
So, but yeah, definitely want to thank you guys. And if you're out there in chat and you're watching this now or you're watching it later, make sure you go to their websites, 06reveille.com. And I want to make sure I say that out there so people that are listening can so it's 06reveille.com, and then salute to americanheroes.com. So go check out the websites, go check out and see what they're doing. These 2 amazing people have an amazing mission, and I can't wait to see where they go from here. So thank you guys again.
Thank you both for having us. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Yeah, and we got to make sure that we emphasize that 06 Reveille is spelled out. It's not the 2 numbers, then Reveille. It's 06 Reveille, the words, not the numbers. I'd be kicking myself in the butt if I didn't say that was a wicked awesome show. Right. That whole New England piece coming back out of me, especially listening to Franco. If I had to talk to him for another couple hours, my wife would be like, "Hey, you didn't go home. Why are you talking like that?" Right. But and Renee, it's gone. She doesn't have that New England accent. But yeah, my whole family still has it. My brother, my mom, all of them still have it up there. So when I go home for a week, I'll come back and you're gonna hear some wicked stuff, man. I tell you what, I'm gonna go get some beers.
So you didn't make a comment about this comment that's in the chat, but I'm gonna throw it up on the screen.
No, but I have in Montana, but not muskie, but for pike. And I go fishing every year in Alaska for halibut. So
that's
that
TC.
Oh wait, and I shark fish every year in New Jersey.
Yeah. But no, that's super cool. So like 06reveille.com, that's the the number, or not the number 6,
No.
it's spelled out.
Spelled out.
06reveille.com. And then salute to AmericanHeroes.com. If you're in the Florida area or Southern Alabama, Southern Georgia, Mississippi, and you're close, go to friggin' the event. They still got tickets available. There's sponsorships available. You can get a VIP table. There's all kinds of cool things that you guys can do at this event. I'm looking at the guest stars. So you got Rita Cosby. She's the event host. Jesse G, musical headliner. Paul Tuttle Sr. will be there from OCC fame. Dave Bray, which I've been trying to get him on the podcast. He's got some cool ass music out there. Being a jarhead.
Yeah, I love his rendition of the Marine hymn.
Yes. Major Ed Paludo, U.S.
Yeah, I know Ed real well.
Jonathan Turnbull, U.S. Army, keynote speaker, guest of honor. So that's the celebrities, guest stars that are going to be there. It seems like it's going to be a cool event. So definitely.
I mean, anything else, just go out and support the event that support the nonprofits. That's the big thing at the back end, right?
Yeah.
Celebrities do nothing for me. It's about supporting those nonprofits that are out there doing the right thing.
Yeah. So Skipper, it's in Clearwater, August 17th. The address is, I just had it out there. I think the address in chat. It's OCC Roadhouse and Museum, 10575 49th Street, North Clearwater, Florida. That's where it's going to be at. What's going on, Veteran Affairs Media? How are you? But man, that was a great episode. Great, Franco and Renee were friggin' amazing. Go check them out, man. Gunny, I'm glad you're back. I know you're going to get back into the swing of things with Team Fast Tracks. You have a bottle release on the July 26th.
Man, so excited. So excited about that. I mean, I say I am. Again, yes, we have the Warriors Honor Cruise bottle that's out right now with J Matt. We've got the Mogadishu Mile bottle out that's out now with J Matt. And you can find both of them on their website, jmagnley1845.com. But yeah, the 26, the Team Fast Tracks bottle is coming out, man. 2 years in the making to make this thing happen. And I am overly excited, if you can't tell, to have that release.
Yeah, I'm super excited for you guys to get it out. And I can't wait to see it and taste test. Unfortunately, I was going to be up there on the 26th to do the live episode from there, but my daughter, which is got a scholarship that is getting presented that day, so Dad being Dad, I have to be there for that.
Yeah, hell no, dude. There ain't Dad being Dad. It's you be there. Yeah. Period. Yeah. I mean, you only got them for a short period of time, right? So support them while you can.
Oh yeah. And there was no, when that came through, when she sent it, I was like, all right, I got to call Gunny, text Gunny. I was like, because I can't go, Yeah.
That's all right. I mean, we'll follow up on that Sunday show on the 27th, and, I'll have the bottle in hand and, be able to show it off and promote it then. It'll be a week or so before it gets on their webpage, but I might even just, as soon as we do the bottle and labeling, just have them put it out there for pre-orders. Because that's what they're doing right now. The Warrior Honor Cruise stuff, it's all pre-order right now. Even though everything's bottled, everything's ready to go. They're taking pre-orders until the end of this month, and then they'll start shipping stuff out.
Heck yeah! No,
unless you go there and pick it up yourself.
Right. Whew.
Yeah. Frank says his birthday is the 26th, so we'll toast you on the 26th, Frank.
Yeah, we'll on Sunday the 27th.
The 26th. Yeah.
We'll do a toast to you, Frank.
And I saw William Stevens back in PA. Yeah, he was having some issues with the RV a little bit, so I know it. Glad that he's back up home, and it was great to see him while I was in Florida.
Has the Van of Valor got back out? I know they went back home for a little bit to do some things and
Hey,
some.
honestly, I don't know. I've been so busy that I have not stayed in contact or watched. From the end of May until this past stint in the hospital, I was go 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 go.
Right.
And then I'm at it again this weekend, and I got a week off, and then we get the release. So, and then the 2 weeks after that's Warrior Weekend. So yeah, right back at it, man. No rest.
Yeah.
No rest.
No rest for the wicked, Sam.
My body is gonna hate me.
Right. This. If you want to know how old I am, you have to wait till I pass.
Cut me in half, count the rings.
I love it, Frank. I love it. I love it. Oh, Gunny, it is that time of night, my friend. Unfortunately.
Yeah, man. Yeah, you're not alone. You still have worth. You still have value. Surround yourself with people that are going to build you up and not tear you down. Don't let the dark days win. And again, you do not have to be a product of your environment.
I love it. And I'm just going to piggyback off that with this right here. In the silence of your struggles, remember, though unseen, you're deeply held in the hearts of others. You are not alone. Yeah, that what Gunny says, I can't do that justice. But the second part there, man, it just. And then hashtag be somebody stranger. Look, guys, ladies, gents, we as humans, we're more apt to talk to a complete stranger than the ones we love the most. And that's because we have that protector gene. We want to protect the ones that we love the most. So be somebody stranger. If you're out and about and you see somebody and it looks like they might be having a bad day, go up to them and ask them, how are you doing? And if they give you the red flags, I'm okay, I'm hanging in there, I'm living the dream, then ask the next hard question. How are you really doing? But be ready for that conversation. It could be a 5-minute conversation, could be a 5-hour conversation. You just have to be ready for that conversation. So ask the next hard question. And then go.
Yeah, it takes a village. You can't do this alone. No matter how hard you try, you have to have people that surround you. I heard a song on the radio recently. It said, Superman is just a man sometimes, right? He transforms to Clark Kent. But even though he is still Superman underneath, he's still a man. So, or woman, but you still have to, have people that, you're comfortable surrounding yourself with and reach out to them if you're struggling.
Heck yeah. And then I'm going to give a big shout out to our partners, Military United Podcast Streams, Elite Engraving, Heroes Media Group, Reach Across America Radio, Valor Coins and Pins. Give a big shout out to them. If you want a cool challenge coin for yourself, reach out to Brent Casey over at Valor Coins and Pins. The good thing about Valor Coins and Pins is when they make a sale on the challenge coin, a percentage of that feeds into the Woody Williams Foundation, which honors Gold Star families from around the country. They put monuments up and stuff like that, and they do a whole plethora of other things as well, but they're honoring the Gold Star families. So if you want a challenge coin for your business, for whatever, reach out to Valor Coins and Pins. They do amazing things. And then, Reach Across America Radio. Go follow them on all social media platforms. If you got iHeartRadio, you can follow them there. The TuneIn app, Odyssey app as well. Just go follow Reach Across America Radio. HomeFront Sitrep is on there Thursday nights at 11 p.m. Eastern. That's 11 p.m. Eastern on Thursday nights. So go look at reachacrossAmerica.org/radio. And then a big shout out to one of our other partners, Same Flag, Same Oath.com. We have a shirt, a co-branded shirt with them. It says Marine It Down. It's a word play on Keep It Simple, Stupid. Just Marine It Down. At the end of the year, Homefront Sitrep's going to get a check for 25% of all sales. What we're going to do is we're going to take that check. We're going to put all these nonprofits on a wheel on the computer, spin. Whoever it lands on gets that check for 25%. We're not keeping one dime. Same thing with our hats from Elite Engraving. you can actually go there and order their hat. You can go to homefrontsitrep.com, go to merch, and you'll see both the shirt and hat. At the end of the year, we're going to get 20% of all sales from the hats. And what we're going to do is we're going to take a wheel and spin again. Now whoever won the 25%, we're going to take off that wheel, and then whoever it lands on the 20% will get that. So go do that, and then go check out homefrontsitrep.com. You can see all these amazing nonprofits, business owners, comedians, singers, authors. You can see back here, like we got Fight with Betsy Ross. We got A Vital Interest with Frank DeMyth, Matthias Carter instead of sheep. We just got the new one in, Smoke 'em If You Got 'em. Then you got Borderline with Vincent Vargas, Michelle Black, Sacrifices. So go check out all these cool things that are on our website. And we got a comment. Yeah, Skipper's got his HomeFront Sitrep hat.
Nice.
So I love it. I love it. But it is that time of night, Gunny. It is that time of night. Like we always say on HomeFront Sitrep, stay safe out there. We got your six. Thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed the show.
Suggestions and comments are always welcome.
Cannot wait to have another great show with y'all.
Don't forget you can find HomeFront Sitrep on Apple, Amazon, Spotify, or wherever you get your favorite podcasts.
Stay safe out there. I got your six.